Hey, it's Drybear. Season 1 is just around the corner, and I'm deep in work preparing new and updated guides for the season preparation so everyone can get off to the right start when they jump into season. But today I figured I'd get you caught up on all the buzz, discussions, interviews, and things that have been going on around Diablo 4. So if you've missed all of these little subtle things, at least now you're in the know. But first, you should come hang out with me on my live stream. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. If you don't come hang out with me in the community, next time you go to the beach, a piece of slimy seaweed is going to wrap around your foot. Let's begin with this kind of light note that we got from the official Diablo Twitter talking about the types of malignant hearts. Previously, they had mentioned there was going to be 3 or 4 colors. We weren't really sure. So this confirms there are going to be 4 different socket types for the hearts that you get in your jewelry in Season 1. The red ones are going to be vicious hearts, and these are offensive malignant hearts. Drops from malignant monsters or crafted via Corman's Wagon. The blue ones are going to be brutal hearts, defensive powers. They drop from brutal malignant monsters. So the affix before the malignant monster has the type of heart that it's going to drop. And this is also crafted through Corman's Wagon. And then the devious heart, which is like a pinkish color, is going to be utility power, drops from devious malignant monsters. And then wrathful heart, which is like this goopy green, is a superpower. And it drops from wrathful monsters or crafted via the wagon. So the type of monster that you see, either devious, wrathful, brutal, vicious, is going to be the kind of heart that it drops. Or you can craft them all at Corman's Wagon, or I'm guessing you get the choices inside of the Malignant Tunnel as well. And for this, on top of that, since there are 32 hearts and 4 types, you would then suggest that that's going to be split up evenly. Some of these are going to be class-specific. Some of them will be generic, class-agnostic across the board. They haven't given us a full list yet, and when they do, I'll be sure to update you. But just so you know, there's going to be offensive, defensive, utility, and superpower. Hopefully that's really cool. Next thing in the news was this interview on Forbes with the game director and, of course, the GM of the Diablo franchise, Rod and Joe. And this one talks a little bit about seasons going forward, development strategy, and things like that. So we're going to quickly run through all of the updates from this interview that Forbes did with them, as there are some new things to think about in here. The first thing is a very expected note from the GM. From a management of expectations perspective, Diablo 4 Season 1 is the start and likely to be the smallest season of all of Diablo 4 seasons. He mentions that it was developed while they were shipping Diablo 4, and it's the beginning of the season journey. So this one is expected to be the lightest in content, but this sets them up for higher expectations in Season 2, and hopefully they can deliver on that. And it does seem like Season 1 overall is pretty light as far as seasons go. Next is a note from the game director, Joe Shelley. He reminds us that the quest line that we're going to get for the season is not a full act. It's not an act-like structure. It's more of like a quest line. We don't really know how long it's going to be, but based on this, he's kind of tempering expectations yet again, that it's not going to be all that long. We just expect to be introduced to the malignancy, the presence of Varshan, I'm guessing, the new boss, as well as the malignant tunnels and the powers and all of that. But once that's done, he mentions that the majority of our time that we'll be doing during Season 3, in week 3 of the season, the primary content you're going to be focusing on is doing malignant tunnels, getting those malignant hearts, and caging them and optimizing your build. So he doesn't expect us to spend more than a week or 2, I imagine, on doing the questline content in this, that the vast majority of the remaining part of the season is going to be there. He says week 3 of the season. I don't know if he's basing this on your average player playing maybe 1 to 2 hours a day, or even just a couple days a week, or if this is based on more aggressive play. I'd be curious, does he actually expect us to do 2 weeks or 3 weeks of questline? Probably not, but we'll see exactly where that goes. Then they remind us that the content for season is all free, that all the paid content in the battle pass, the accelerated battle pass, is all cosmetic. Everything else in the game season-wise is free. You don't have to buy into the season pass aspect, which I guess is a good reminder. Shelley also reminds us that we want to focus on getting people to finish the battle pass rather than leveling to 100. So most of the content that you'll need to do to finish the battle pass is not getting to max level or reaching level. There are specific Ash requirements. They've mentioned this before, where you'll have to get to specific character levels to unlock the powers of the battle pass, like the Ashes, but it's not going to be level 100 to get all of them. You don't have to get to the very end of the game. You just have to finish the challenges, complete the seasonal journey, and you can do that apparently quite easily. There's a reminder in here that the Battle Pass will give you free platinum. I think this is kind of weird because it doesn't, I mean, typically in games like Fortnite or even like Dota, stuff like that, they do give you the option of earning enough to buy the next battle pass or get something very expensive. But from what I've seen, at least, they're only going to be offering about 200 platinum throughout the entirety of the battle pass. So that maybe after like 4 or 5 seasons, you can buy something meaningful for the platinum, but it's not going to be that much. So maybe chill on the expectations of that. You'll get a little bit of platinum that you'll be able to store up over time, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be crazy amounts. Also a reminder that the jewelry that drops in season will not have a normal socket for gems. Instead, it will be the malignant heart sockets. But they did confirm in this interview that it will be converted to a normal socket after the season. Not really a huge deal. You can add sockets at the jeweler very easily. But they also reminded us that there's going to be no new rank of gems above Royal coming for the season. So Royal is going to be the highest for armor and for weapons and offhands. And then for jewelry, we'll be getting malignant hearts. We expected this already, but there's going to be a new Nightmare Dungeon rotation. There's 30 dungeons in the rotation right now for Season 0, and there's 115 dungeons in the game. So we'll probably get a new 30 that will be a selected set. I'm going to do a full dungeon tier list going over all the dungeons and prepare you for Season 1 with that. But this is another confirmation that we kind of knew, but they reaffirmed it. Shelly also reminded us this is not going to be like the last patch where it was primarily buffs. There are nerfs coming, and he mentioned again, we have to nerf some things. Sometimes we can't always buff all other things. So we don't really know what's going to be nerfed here. I'll talk about some notes on Twitter that may suggest that things like Hammer of the Ancients or Bone Spear are going to be nerfed. But from that, we don't have an exact answer. And it seems like, based on the fact that we don't have patch notes today, we'll probably not be getting patch notes until maybe Tuesday, like right before the patch goes live. And then from then we'll have it. So look forward to my patch review when that goes live. I'll go through all the patch notes for you when that is available. They did mention as well, there's one new Uber unique coming this season. They said there wasn't before, but then they said there was. So this time there is a brand new Uber unique. I feel like for most players, this doesn't really make a difference because it's not like the Uber uniques are, I think for the average player, myself included, I actually, in my mind, consider the Uber uniques as fake. Like they don't exist, they're not real. I don't plan them in my builds anymore. I don't think about them anymore. The chance of them dropping is 1 in a million, so it's just not worth it. But they said they are adding another Uber unique. I'm wondering if this is going to be like they're treating this as something that you collect from season to season, and it gives you a reason to play Eternal. So think about it, like if the drop rate is so low, you can't really expect to ever get these items. But if you play every season, you're bound to get 1 or 2 of them. And then when that seasonal character gets converted to Eternal, maybe you're encouraged to try this in builds on Eternal, and it gets people to play Eternal. I'm not sure why they're gatekeeping this so hard, but here it is. There's going to be another one of the items you may never see coming into the game with the season. The next is kind of a methodology around the uniques in the game. So they asked, which is a great question from the interview here, why do uniques not feel like they are significantly stronger than legendaries? And their response was, uniques are not meant to be an ultimate level of gear. They are just meant to be exactly what the nomenclature suggests. Unique, a power you can't get anywhere else, but it's not supposed to be stronger. It's just supposed to be something that comes into the build that has unique on it. Personally, for me, if they are going to treat these as such, as not being like the ultimate set of gear, it's just like a unique skill. You can't use the Codex or the Occultist to imprint on. I wish they would put more unique stats on the items as well. Some of the uniques in the game have stats you can't get anywhere else in the entire game. And I think that helps them feel more unique. But I think they should do more of this to help these stand out. And they wanted to make sure that these weren't the build-defining uniques that they were in like Diablo 2, for example. That they wanted these to be more like a specific drop that can only come from this place, but it's not more powerful than anything else. And lastly, yes, you do need to play the campaign through once in order to have it unlocked on the seasonal servers. They asked why this is the case, and they feel that the campaign is a good onboarding process, which I think is pretty accurate for players. Being dropped into a season without having done the campaign, you don't really have access to all like the step-by-step process of unlocking the alchemist, unlocking the occultist, unlocking the blacksmith, going through all your side quests, your class quests, all of that stuff. I think they wanted you to do that in the season, and I think it's fair that you only have to do it once across the board, and then once you've done it once, you're done forever. I think that's pretty fair. Next is a response on Twitter from Adam Jackson, the lead class designer in Diablo 4. Dake asked, is it possible to get Shaco or any rare unique uniques playing PvP. And his response was a very straightforward, a good rule of thumb is if you can get any unique from that activity, then you can get a Shaco from that activity, which seems like they can drop everywhere. And yeah, there you go. Another one is a new response that we got around the memory leak issue. They do still expect to have some improvements for the memory leak that a lot of players are experiencing right now in Diablo 4. They say that they have some improvements for it. They're not sure if it's going to fix them all, but at least in Season 1, they're going to have something that addresses it, and they wanted to reaffirm this. I mentioned this in my last video, going over news, but I wanted to reconfirm it for everyone that's out there. By the way, yes, they will copy hardcore renown progress over to Season, but your character needs to be alive and able to log in on the release of the patch on July 18th. So if you're on hardcore and you've done all your renown, or if you've done your statues and your world map reveal, stay alive until the patch comes out so that if you die before then, you won't be able to copy that progress. So keep in mind that hardcore will copy, but you can't die before the patch. Another question comes in from Gris asking any plans on fixing the Hammer of the Ancients bug abuse? It's ruining PvP and we face Hoda all the time. And the response was, Hammer of the Ancients is most death being looked at. So Barbarians, be ready. There might be something coming around Hammer of the Ancients. Hopefully it's just the bug abuse, but we'll see. Next is a good question around the cosmetics we're getting in the Battle Pass and for Season 1. Asking Rod, hey, is it going to unlock for everybody? And Rod says it's unlocked for all of their characters. All of the cosmetics you get from the Battle Pass are going to be account-based, which sounds like you should be able to use them on a hardcore server, an eternal server, or a seasonal server as soon as you unlock them on Season, which means it is, again, another reason why you should be playing Season if you are inclined to do so. Another new question around the cosmetics in the store. If you're someone who likes to pick up cosmetics in the official paid store, they say cool new stuff coming in Season 1. We've seen a couple reviews and things online around new content coming to the store. This was one of the skins that they had on their seasonal page online, which looks like it's a Necromancer set. So this one will be coming, I'm guessing, or maybe it's a male sorcerer. It does look like Necromancer based on the animation set, but this is one of the ones they had online. So I guess we're going to get a whole new store offering with this patch, which would make sense. It's a content update. We should be getting new content in the store with it. Another clarification on the transfer of the renown progress, which is a good one. If you have Altars of Lilith unlocked, but split across multiple characters, right? So if you say you've done, the Fractured Peaks and Hawazar on one character, and you've done Dry Steps and Kyrgyzstan on another, and then Skazglin on another, Rod confirms that you will be able to get all of that combined into one. You just, after the patch, need to log into each of those characters. So if you're someone in this situation where you have split up your progress of renown, just make sure you log into all of your characters after the patch so that progress can be copied and then concatenated onto your account. I wanted to include this one because this keeps getting asked. I'm not sure why. Everyone seems very confused by this. But when you look at the Battle Pass on it, there's going to be like 7 or 8 like legendary aspects unlocked in the Battle Pass per chapter, and there's like 6 or 7 chapters. So everyone's saying, well, wait a minute, you said there's only going to be 7 new legendary powers and 6 new uniques. What's going on here? And it's because when you jump into Season, your codex is going to reset. And then with the Battle Pass unlocks, you'll be able to unlock the aspects that you would normally get from dungeons into your codex without having to do those dungeons, which saves you that time from having to go do that. So the numbers that you see on the Battle Pass are a combination of the existing codex powers that you get without having to do the dungeon, plus the new ones that are coming in. There's still only 7 new legendary powers and 6 new uniques that are coming into the game. And lastly, on that same note, will there be new transmogs from the game items itself? Not from the store, but from the game items themselves. And Joseph tells us that no, there's no new items specifically, but many of the new uniques will have new transmogs. And we know there's going to be a mixture of class-specific as well as, class-agnostic ones in there. So it sounds like we'll be getting some new options for transmogs based on just the unique items. You will have to farm them, but at least we're going to have new options for making your own character look cooler without having to unlock anything. And that's what I've got for you today. I appreciate your patience because I'm working on going through all 115 dungeons in the game, doing updated leveling guides. So I'm deep in the woods, in the weeds, testing and making guides right now to prepare you for Season 1. So I'm doing a little bit of news right now while I focus on that. And then hopefully when Season 1 gets going, we'll get back in the normal swing. I'm just trying to manage everything and just work around the clock to get you everything that you need for season 1. If you found value in the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm so this video gets seen by more people, and I'll see you on my live stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.